All right, with Don Scioli, feature film Who Wants to Live Forever? The Wisdom of Aging is the film from Documentary Film Festival. Really interesting film. I enjoyed this one a lot. Asked a lot of
Good.
questions. I want to ask you, the first question I want to ask you is that Who Wants to Live Forever? That's sort of your title. How many people do you think want to live forever?
You bring up a good point because I think we talked in the documentary with Gary Gascoigne, who wrote the book Alexa. It's about a person who does live forever in the book,
Yeah,
and all these bad circumstances happen. Because everybody dies off, and I'd say it was. I can't even say 50-50. I'd say maybe 80-20 didn't want to live forever. I think a lot of people, especially in today's world, that said, I've had enough. I've had
yeah.
enough in this lifetime, and I don't necessarily want to go more than, you know, I don't want to have another life. However, I think what we're trying to say in the movie, and I think where research is going, um, you want to live 100 years, 120 in good health.
Yeah.
That's the key. Not, you don't want to be like,
Yeah. You don't want to
messed
have
up.
shitty health for 10 years, right? So yeah.
Yeah, I was like I just wrote William Shatner for he's 94 and he just messed his shoulder up and he was riding competitive horses at 94. And he
Yeah.
says, I'll just get another operation, my shoulder will be fine. That's where you want to be, You
Yeah.
don't want to be where you're an invalid the last 20 years of your life. That's not cool.
Because I remember the book or the movie, which I'm spoiling the movie, but The Green Mile, right? The end of The Green
Right,
Mile
right.
was has that bittersweet ending, right? Because this guy, everybody's dead in his life, right? And he knows he's gonna live for way too long. He just wants to like end it all, right?
Right, exactly. And that's always been the sort of the bugaboo. Do you want to outlive your friends, your relatives, your loved ones, etc.? I don't know. I mean, I don't think so, but maybe. Hey, I mean, Elon Musk wants to get the singularity. The X Files kill switch, where Mulder goes into the internet. So maybe that's where you want to be. You lose the body, you're in the internet, you're all over the place.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that was interesting. And I think we started the movie, the documentary, "Who Must Live Forever." We live like about a half a mile from the Buck Center for Aging, which is probably the world's most famous aging in place. And I've been up there for tours and stuff before, and talking to some of the scientists up there. That's what sort of piqued our interest in doing this show because there's a lot of things going on and a lot of research. And I think in the beginning of the documentary, the president, the head of the Buck says, this is going to be called the aging age, which is the 21st century, where we're going to,
Yeah.
if not defeat aging, certainly, prolong it. I mean, look at our parents, for example. My parents, when they were my age, they were like, I don't want to say they were invalids because they were in good shape, but you know what I mean? The whole methodology of aging and the way we look and the way we act has totally changed in that one generation, the guys in the 20s with the hats and the nice suits and that kind of thing, and they're 50 years old and they look like today they'd be
Yeah.
85 or 100. So I think we've changed that a lot going into it.
Because you have a lot of pulp culture in your film, and I remember Golden Girls, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they were like 55.
yeah, and they're like, I see that, what 55 looks like today, especially
Yeah.
female. There's a lot of high 55-year-olds. I mean, you see it. So yeah, that's a big look at that in one generation, the change. So, and I think we're going to see that accelerated from what I can gather from what the research we did on this thing. You're going to see that effect. Even right now, I put together a quick treatment for a sequel, which even in, I mean, what, a couple of months, it's accelerated again, with all sorts of new treatments and things like that. So, yeah, it's going to be an interesting time period.
Well, it's interesting because obviously the internet and social media and that kind of has been a huge influence in our culture, right? Because it's so much consumption. Don't you think that it might possibly go 180 and say, let's just age gracefully. Let's forget about all this Botox and all this. Let's go in the other direction,
Well, you
right?
see that, yeah, you see that in celebrities now.
I'm
It's we
talking
see,
about from a mainstream point of view, like just everybody goes in that direction.
yeah, it could be. I mean, it could be. The
Yeah.
problem is because what's happened, like with Botox facial surgery, it's gotten so extreme that people are like, oh, they're like, I don't want to have any part of that.
Yeah.
I, Your question, I like him back. One of my favorite films of all time, and again, nobody probably knows this one. 1973, Zardoz, where Sean Connery plays anyway. It's like in a dystopian future, right? And Sean Connery's a barbarian, and he goes into this place where all the people they have immortality, but they can't die. And the whole part of the movie is they're always at a 24-hour New Year's Eve party, and they're all dressed in the tuxes and they're dancing around, but they can't die. And they want Sean Connery to kill them because they've had lifelong. They want to die. They've had too much life. I don't think we're going to get there. It's like Soylent Green. That's another reference you can make. Where we recycle the people. So I don't know. It could be. It could very well be a throwback because everything goes 180 anyway.
That's what I'm saying. We all kind of go back to to square one in a sense, right?
Totally. Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
I can see it happen because there's already a rejection of a lot of the surgery and things of that sort. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, and everybody, you can judge until you get to that age or that position, and then things change, right? When you're actually forced to see that you're getting old, I guess.
Yeah, yeah. It's
Yeah.
like what was his name? The guy who was a couple of years ago. He was the what's his name's brother, the head of the United States aging. Uh, Gosh, and he said, "Well, 75. We should cut it at 75. You should go
Yeah.
well, except when you hit 74, and you're like, I don't know if I want to go out next year. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I don't think that's a true argument.
Well,
Um,
there's so many economical because you ask a lot of questions in your film. There's a lot going on, but from an economical, if you just look at it from the bare economics, right? You people can't live that long, right?
oh,
Because yeah,
well, the problem is you get older. Are you productive enough to basically sustain yourself? I don't mean, but I mean, as far as food and things like that. I
yeah,
mean, where I live in the Bay Area, it's so expensive to live. What's happened is people who are older aren't letting go of their houses. So, because it's so expensive to buy a new one. So anybody who's young can't
yeah,
afford the house because everybody's sitting on the older houses that have a lower rate. So you have that whole economic factor that's coming in. The silver, they call it the silver tsunami, where you have a huge aging population. They're
yeah.
not going anywhere.
It's the big,
And
well, it's a huge population of baby boomers too, right? Which is like the
well,
biggest population in humanity, right? So, and they're
exactly.
not dying, which if they start dying, then the world will probably be better. Not to
Yeah.
sound cruel, but
No, get it.
yeah,
You clear it out. It's like
yeah,
going in the field and getting rid of the weeds kind of thing. I don't want
yeah.
to sound crass, but that's the way it sort of works. I Again, if you're in that age group, you're sort of like,
No, no,
well,
of course, yeah, yeah.
now I don't know if I want to, if I want to bail out. Like,
No, just for like even old white men need to like stop. There's these guys in Senate that are like 80 years old. Just like go away, please.
yeah,
Like
yeah, but
bring
there
in the
should
new
be a, yeah.
generation. Let's have some new ideas, right?
There should be age limits in
Yeah,
Congress. I mean, obviously, every other state has age limits except Congress. But anyway, that's another. We
yeah.
don't get political.
No,
But
no, but
there's,
it brings up in your film, right? It brings up like there's like if there's a button that you could press, okay, because we all know we're gonna die, right? And that's why your question, who wants to live forever? Because we all know we're gonna die. So the
Mhm.
question is that would the world be better if it's like you said, say 75 or 80? 75 is like you press a button, you're dead. Everybody dies at 75.
No, you're right. But I don't know if you want to be the guy at 75 that wants to press the button if you're feeling
No, but
okay.
it's inevitable though. It's already in our ingrained in our brain that that's
Mhm.
when it happens, right?
No, it's true. Yeah, I guess so. But 75 now it seems young. Before it was like the last
Yeah.
generation. 75 was, oh yeah, you're out of here. You're gone, man. Now it's like 75. I don't know. So
Yeah.
that's what the maturation of the whole process of aging has I guess improved, to use that as a word. I mean, because again, at 75 is not too bad.
Or you
So
got
they
to
have,
go to a committee and say, "What are you doing for society? Are you doing something?
yeah.
If not, get the hell out of here. Go."
Yeah, exactly. You're just sitting around and consuming, and that's again the problem. We saw in the beginning we have that graph of the population growth, as Lewis Richmond, I believe, says. We don't have an aging problem; we have a population problem.
Yeah, we
Too
do.
many people too old, or et cetera. However, on the other hand, the greatest population in India and China, those two countries, they have a young population.
Yeah.
That's the opposite. They have a tremendously young group of people coming in. So it's kind of mirrors it's the 180 of where the Western civilization is. I don't know how that's going to shake out. I guess eventually they will. Of course, obviously they're going to grow, get older, and then they'll have the same problems that maybe we have now. But so yeah, it's kind of funny when you bounce the two spheres of the Earth, together.
All right.
But yeah,
What motivated you? Like, this is kind of the lot going on, a lot of it to unpack. Got a lot of great interviews. I love that you got Peter Coyote, by the way. I just think he's a great
yeah,
actor.
yeah. He lives around here, so
Oh, okay.
I
The
knew him
Roman
from a
Polanski
guy.
film. He is fantastic
Yeah, I
in it.
knew him from a guy who knew a guy, and we got him in there,
Yeah.
But yeah, he's a big Buddhist. That was another reason why. Actually, we got him in the movie because Louis Richmond's his what would you call it, sensei or whatever. He's his priest. That the Coyote follows Louis Richmond, so they were together, and that's how they both wanted to. We got him in the show to be
Yeah.
in it. But yeah, he's a funny guy. He's interesting because he's been in obviously been around a long time,
Yeah.
and
Well,
he
he
has
was in
very.
E.T., right? Like, he was the villain in E.T.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
he does all what's his name's work, all Ken Burns's work. He's the
Yeah.
voice
Yeah.
of
Yeah. Yeah.
the voice of PBS narrations.
Yeah.
So yeah, yeah. But yeah, he was good to get in here. But again, yeah, we just wanted to get as many people as possible to give all different viewpoints in this movie.
Perspective. Yeah.
The novelists to the scientists to the spiritualists. And that's why I said if we want to do a new one, I've got a whole nother realm because there's a whole nother thing. I don't want to talk about it too much, but you get into the spirituality of it, and then there's a whole thing of talking to a medium, going into the next realm
Yeah.
and bringing that back here. That's a whole nother realm. And that could be another part of it. It's not physical; it's more spiritual. So that's something we're thinking about maybe
In the
doing.
next film. Yeah. Well, do you believe in that? Like, do you believe in mediums and
Uh,
the afterlife?
let's put it this way: I've had several personal encounters where it's proof. I mean, to me, it was proven unequivocally that they
Yeah.
speak to another realm. Unequivocally. I mean, they knew things about me and my relationships and my history that nobody else could know except me. So therefore, demonstratively, yeah, I believe in it.
So do you
So
think
yes,
the other because my only qualm is that it's a human narcissistic thing where we evolved as a species because of various reasons. Luck is a big part of it. And other animals, do you think other animals have mediums? Like, I don't like just because we're an evolved species doesn't mean that we're like the great power. We're the great intelligent species on the planet, right?
right, that's true.
Yeah.
From what I gather with mediums, the animals, especially your dogs and cats and pets, they make the transition too. They're up there
Okay.
because they're any entity that has had life. Um, that life isn't. What does Einstein say? Energy can't be destroyed. It can't be whatever. Since we're
Yeah.
basically energy spirits, we're electricity, energy. We go on. So anything that's living goes on. So when I say go on, it goes into the next realm, whatever that might be. So
Mhm.
yeah, that's all part of it. So it's aging. Yeah, we're not here in this physical plane, but we still continue in another plane. So in a sense, you age, but you transition, I guess you call it, into
Yeah.
another thing.
But
That's a
then
whole
what is time in that plane too, right? Like, because
time.
time is sort of,
What I
yeah.
Yeah, from what I can gather in that plane, time is irrelevant. It's us. We have the concept of time. That's you're always how do I because we're humans. I can't understand.
Yeah.
It's all present in the next realm. There's no time.
Yeah.
It's all present. That's the only thing
That's
I can
that's
say.
yeah. That's
It's
a
in
mind F, right? Like that's a real interesting that's an interesting film to explore.
yeah.
I don't think it's been done in its profoundness, I guess, on film yet.
Not really. I mean, you see movies like, where they've gone into the afterlife and things like that, but it's always done in sort of either comedic, like, Heaven Can Wait or some other version of it where
Yeah.
it's sort of done in a light manner. Nobody's really delved into it simply because there's too many interpretations that could be possible of it. So, and I don't know. I don't know if, I don't know if the audience is ready for that stuff yet. So who
I think
knows?
they are. I think they are.
Yeah,
But
it's like the UFO disclosure thing. Are we ready for this disclosure or what? Are they going to tell us or not?
well,
I
people are
think,
going to believe what they believe, right? Then you know what I
yeah.
mean? Like, yeah, that's the
But I think
thing.
after the 70 years of sci-fi movies, if the aliens came down tomorrow and said, "Yeah, we're here," you got, all right, okay, big deal. Okay, great. How are you? That kind of thing. Because we've
Yeah.
been so indoctrinated with, ET and Strange Encounters, Close Encounters, etc. It wouldn't
Yeah.
make a difference. So I think that's the same thing even with aging. You know, we're getting to the point where, as I said, people are aging gracefully now, as opposed in the past where they weren't maybe aging gracefully. And again, from what I've seen with the new research that's available now, that it's we're going to even age better if we take, you have to take advantage of it. You know what I mean? You just can't hang out and just go, okay, I'm here. You have to take advantage of some of the vitamins and the what do you call it, supplements and some of the
Yeah.
treatments that are available. I'm not saying heavy treatments, but if you may take available of them, and just some of the old school stuff, exercise, decent diet, you'll do okay.
I mean, if you moderate, if everything's moderated, but that said, everybody, it comes down to genes. Mostly like a lot of people have families that live a long time, and then
Yeah,
therefore they live a long time, right?
right. But I think what's happening is with the when they what they call it, 2000 when they categorized all the genes, they're starting to figure out it's not so much categorizing genes, how they interact, and that's where they'll be able to hopefully. And this now the newest thing is again not so much in the United States, but I think in Mexico, this gene therapy that they're doing, stem cells. A lot of athletes, for example, like get an Achilles injury and they come back in 4 months
Yeah,
shooting stem cells. So I think the next thing will be using stem cells to cure a lot of diseases, I think cancer and some of the other ones. And maybe that will help by injecting new genes that can form in your body. I think we'll be able to live longer as well. I think that'll help, and I think it will possibly correct some of the generational potential
yeah.
problems we have with genes, things like that, genes that aren't working right or firing wrong or disease causing disease. I think they can be mitigated quite a bit in some of this new technology that's available. So
And then let's be honest, it becomes like a rich man's like
yeah, yeah,
rich
yeah,
can only
right.
do
Now you're
this.
getting into yeah. Now you're getting into the financial end of it.
Yeah,
Who has the money to do this?
yeah.
Like I said, it's soil and green. You recycle the guys that don't have. The lower class gets recycled, so the upper class can eat, drink their soil and green. That's a whole nother moral question. You have to bring in too. Who has the money? But hopefully, it could be done, and it can be made available to people. But we'll see. That remains to be seen in the future. But
Okay, so
yeah,
I'll finally get to the big question I want to ask. What motivated you to make this film? Why? Well, because these films are hard to make. Lots of interviews, trying to figure
oh
out the
yeah.
narrative. Yeah,
I've done a lot of not a lot. I've done theatrical, which is very easy. You have a script, right?
yeah.
You shoot the script, you shoot it in one time, and then you edit it. And here's the script. You edit the script. Documentaries are so much harder. I mean, you have first of all, generally you don't even know you sort of like have a vague idea. I want to do something on aging. Well, how do I do that? Where do I get the experts? Do I have people talking about it? Do I reenact it? And and you never shoot it in one piece, right? This thing took a couple of years because we're shooting. Well, this line is available. This guy's available here, but then this other guy's available a month, 6 months later, and you have to shoot all that stuff. And then the hardest thing is, I think, where you make the show is editing, and you put all that together, and you still, there's a lot of different potential ways you can go with it that
Exactly.
storylines that spring out. I think with just a fascination with, we had spoken to a few people about, the very question, immortality. I think I read Gosgoshian's book in their Alexa, and I was like, that's pretty interesting, and how would that work in a real situation? Could we make people immortal? What would happen? So I think that was some of the motivational things that led to it. Luckily, living in the Bay Area, we have UCSF, we have the Buck Center, we have a lot of different high end resources that that deal with aging and that type of thing. So that kind of gave us a sort of a
You're
map.
in the you're in the area of
Yeah,
of this fascination or this expertise, I guess, right?
yeah, yeah. I mean, I'm not per se. I'm not. I mean, I've made documentaries. I mean, we did 2 wine documentaries before this. We've done a political. I've done like 100 political commercials for candidates. So we're all over the place as far as that
Yeah.
goes. This was sort of a niche idea that we pursued. Um, but yeah, it was just that was the fascination factor. Can we push towards immortality, and what would it entail? And that's sort of the motivational feature thing for this documentary.
So
Um,
so then did you just start shooting? Like you said, okay, like you must have had some sort of script, some sort of idea
we
when
had an
you
idea,
started.
not a script per se. We lined up as a potential list of people we wanted to get.
Yeah.
And we knew we actually, I think we started at the, I believe we started at the Buck Center first because that was the nexus. They have the most experts. And when we started talking to them, and that led to, oh, well, they'd say, well, go talk to this guy because this person's an expert in this. Oh, okay. And you go to that branch and you talk to that branch and then, oh, this person's, you know what I mean? That's the way docs sort of work. They
Yeah.
sort of piece together like a big skeleton. There, one then leads to another, and leads to another, and leads to another. Unlike a theatrical where it's just all laid out one way, you know. So I think that's how we started with the Buxton, and that led us to UCSF, and then something led us to we wanted the spiritual thing, and we said, oh well, who's spiritual? Oh, Buddhist. Well, in Tiburon, there's a Buddhist temple. Well, let's talk to those guys. We talked to those guys, and that led us to Peter Coyote, and then et cetera, et cetera. You know, that's sort of how docs work, you know.
Yeah.
You know, when I started this back in the 70s, we spent a year doing a motorcycle documentary, you know, about different types of racing. That took us a year, and it was, you know, it led us from racing to motocross to dirt bike racing all over the country, you know. And so that's the way documentaries work. They're fun, and they're difficult, you know.
Yeah.
They're difficult, you know, and it's something that you know. And I went to USC Film School, so you know, documentaries were looked down upon it back then. It was like, the only guys that do anything are the Maisleys, you know, that maybe that's it. And
Yeah.
what's his name? Earl, I forget his last name. That's it. Documentaries were kind of looked down. Now with the advent of streaming and a lot of film festivals, they're finally getting some exposure. I mean, you know, 10, 15 years ago, you really had to dig to find a documentary. You had to find some theater, you know,
Yeah.
down somewhere that was showing, you know, a midnight show of some, you know, whatever,
Yeah.
you know, Sympathy for the Devil or whatever the documentary was, you know. But now, again, with film festivals like yours and streamers, you know, you can go to Netflix and see a ton of documentaries. So it's
Yeah.
great now. It's a whole, you
There's
know,
yeah, it's there's tons of sports documented, like sports
oh,
documentaries are huge, right? And
yeah,
then
and
nostalgic,
especially equipment.
yeah.
With digital equipment. I mean, it used to be hard to make movies before. You know, you had the 16 or 35 camera, you have to shoot it, you have to
Yeah.
develop film, you got to edit it, you got to sync it. It was pain in the neck. Now with digital, it's simple. You know, I mean, we switched to after like so many years of going to, you know, post-production houses at night, you know, going there at midnight and editing
Yeah.
around 2000. Yeah, around 2000, I said, I can't take this anymore. And I luckily had a friend that was a writer for a magazine. He says, you should try this. We have this new camera now called the Canon XL1. I'm like, yeah, what is it? It's digital. Whoa, what's that?
Yeah.
And an editing system. This was before Final Cut. You do it on your like laptop. I'm like, really? And
Yeah.
we
It was just
dove
coming
in.
out then. Yeah.
It made it so easy, you know. In fact,
Yeah.
sidebar, I remember the drives. The drives, they sounded like a 747 taking off. You know, you start to drive and you hear this, because
Yeah.
you had the fast drives back then, you know.
That's
It's funny, but
amazing.
anyway,
Yeah.
now that's made so much easier. So much easier.
Okay.
I mean,
This I'm curious. So you said you're making movies in the 70s, right?
yeah.
Okay. So you're setting up an interview, right? With your 35 millimeter camera. How long does it take to set up the interview? And how long does it take it now to set up an interview?
Well,
In
back then
terms of
you
lighting, setup, everything like that.
you had to have light, a lot of it. So you had these HMIs, right? And those things
Yeah.
are big and hot. I mean, the
Yeah.
poor town, they would sweat. You see them like perspire, you know? So I'd say, you know, it would take you probably an hour to set up just a 1 or 2 minute interview back then, you know? That's just to get the shot. Now you use, you know, the new, what do you call bulbs? I forget, we have them down there, you know, the curly bulbs, no heat. You can put it right
Yeah.
next to his face, no heat at all. Pop the camera in, ready to roll. You don't have to worry about, you know, checking the gate. You have to go there
Yeah.
and shoot, check the gate. And you have to, everything's quiet. You go pull the lens out, look in there. Okay, there's no fur in the camera, no fuzz. That's clean. You know, all that stuff you had to do, room tone and all that. Now it's digital, it's so easy. I mean, it really is. And the cameras have really, well, I augment our sound. I use, for all these interviews, we use radio mics because it's, you know, it knocks out everything else when you put it next to a
But
person.
think of that even too, the sound, right? You would have a boom operator and then a guy.
A guy, a recorder with a
Yeah.
nag sitting there, and okay, here's another guy. I mean, our crews, we used to have crews of like, even on small crews, 20, 25 guys to
Yeah.
get
It's
just a
crazy.
commercial or anything. Now it's 3 or 4 people. That's it.
Yeah.
It's more than schlepping stuff. I mean, carrying this, and that's it.
And then
So
and think about post production. The Steinbeck machine. I'm assuming you edited on the slicer,
and a
right?
moviola.
Okay,
Moviola.
sorry, Moviola,
And then
same thing,
then
right?
Steamback was an up. That was like, oh man, that was like a real step up. And
Okay,
then CMX, which is like where you convert your film to a tape, and then you edit in CMX. And then that gave way to eventually Avid, and
Avid
then
and yeah, Final
yeah,
Cut Pro, yeah.
yeah,
Okay, and then so now, but then also too, it's the candid shots too, right? Because it's you can't get candid shots back in the day because you would have to set up the camera, get everything focused, right?
yeah. I mean, we'd be
Yeah,
because I had a DP back then, and for example, you say you're doing a little scene. It could be an interview, or it could be just two people talking, or a theatrical, and you're like, okay, you do your main shots. I'm like, hey, I want to pick up a shot of this guy's foot. It's a big deal. You know what I mean? The
yeah.
guy, we have to relight. We have to bring the camera down. It's like whatever. And so now you just, here you go. You swing the camera down, pick up the hands or whatever you want to get, and that's done. Where you don't have to worry about relighting and bringing the camera down and having a gaffer in there. No, it's simple, and it's really made it easy. Well, on the other hand, the immense possibilities can also be, well, I better shoot this. Oh, I better shoot this. You end up
Yeah.
shooting probably a little bit more because it's easier. But then in post, you got to, what did I shoot all this stuff for? It's the opposite. It's sort of a two-edged sword. But no, I'd
That's the
rather have,
analogy of your film, though, right? Like that's the
yeah,
analogy of your film. It's like things are
totally.
like easier, but then there's more consumption, right? There's more like
Harder
there's
choices to make. After a while,
yeah,
you end up really cutting the proverbial wheat from the chaff and going right down the middle. It's like, I'm not going to even look at that. I'm going
yeah.
to go right here. And whether that limits your choices, I don't know. But
Because
yeah, it's a lot.
when you're rolling camera in the 1980s, like you got to really make sure that what you're doing is because that film's expensive, right?
It's
So
expensive and time consuming. It's
exactly,
expensive, and then you have to have it developed. And you have to go through it all. It takes a while. Now you just instant. You go to a cut, Final Cut, whatever you're using. Just I'm there. There you had to roll through the tape. You're sitting there, 5 minutes to go. If you're at the, you got a shot at the beginning of the tape or the end of the tape, you have to roll through it. I won't even talk about it if you're editing on film. Film, you're cutting actual film. That's
yeah,
a whole other thing.
that's
And
amazing.
you're chewing it up too, and you're stepping on the work print. And oh my God, I don't even think about it.
So you have a lot of elements in your film where that you're kind of trying to explain science in an entertaining way, I guess, right?
Yeah,
With
you're
the
trying to.
charts and the visuals.
That's why we use a lot of visuals and graphs and things because again, some of the stuff is complex. I'm not a scientist. I don't understand a lot of as much as possible. So you're trying to make the public either do it with charts or do it with analogies or even the experts are trying. I'm trying to always say, listen, man, we got you have to explain this to a general audience. Even the buck guys in here, you go to their lectures, you're like, huh? Yeah, it was funny. I'll just decide where you go to they have lectures on aging the scientists get for free. You go there and they'll go through some very heavy duty thing. And then some senior will stand up and go, hey, is it safe to take ibuprofen or aspirin? I mean, it's that, you know what I mean? They go over above their heads. So
Yeah.
that's what we wanted to do here. We wanted to make it a little more palatable for people so they'd understand some of these issues. So the thing is, every expert we spoke to, I'd say, listen, you have to talk in basic English here as much as possible. And I think
Yeah.
they did a pretty good job,
No,
doing
but you
that.
did a pretty good job putting it together and editing it. You're kind of having these segues of explanation that you need in the film that we kind of get it. Like you do it in its very simple kind of grade 5 level form, meaning that we can understand what you're trying to say.
Yeah,
Right?
that was one of the main things trying to do to get it
Yeah.
palatable. So that's why again the charts and the Disney stuff and the little little cutaways and analogies that way
Yeah.
to make it more. Oh, I get that. Okay, I see what they're trying to say. And at the
Yeah.
end, I mean, at the end, really, we just we have the waterfall going in the music. We're just again, it's sort of like you decide if you want to live forever or you decide if you don't or if you want to kind of I mean that's sort of what we wanted to leave with sort of an open-ended spirituality almost at the
Yeah.
end where it's your decision to see how you want to go but if you want to live a a fulfilling life so we kept it open towards the end but
So
yeah
I was
go
gonna
ahead.
say, like, is AI like that's sort of like almost the elephant in the room in a lot of these videos where like that obviously is going to help the medical profession, the things you're talking about, right?
Totally, because they can the AI can take this very complex things. I mean, you do it yourself with
Exactly.
ChatGPT. take these very complex things and explain them. They don't dumb it down. They explain it in a very clear fashion. Yeah, the whole AI thing is going to be interesting. I see, frankly, medically. I'm not going to say we're going to get rid of doctors, but I think that's a field where, like law and medicine, where AI is going to really come in and kind of take over. Because
Hey, when the surgery, right? You don't like you're not going to use people's hands anymore. You're going to use a machine, right?
yeah, and in fact, I talked to somebody. They wanted to have a knee replacement, and they didn't want it. Like they didn't want a doctor to do it. They went down to Palm Springs and had a robot do it because they felt that the robot could do the knee replacement better, cleaner, easier
Yeah.
than a human could. And I guess it works. So you're going to see a lot of that too. I don't
Yeah,
see AI.
exactly.
Yeah, I mean AI in filmmaking. I mean everybody's worried about it, and in fact, but the problem right now, the problem with AI is obviously number one, the clips are too short. Number two, you can tell, I can see instantly, oh, it's AI.
Sure.
They're perfect. People are too perfect in it. And I see right now, it's a joke thing. We have Tom Cruise fighting Brad Pitt in a clip. Okay, big deal. Or the latest one now. I don't know if you have it where you are, but and they're really funny. I think it's coming from China. They'll put cats and dogs and people, and they'll have these kung fu fights with them.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah, you've seen that. So I mean, now it's a joke. Right now, it's kind of
No, but I'm
funny.
saying that I was just more about your film, right? Like about like aging in AI is going to help people live longer, ironically enough, right? As we need less
Yeah,
humans in the world.
yeah. Well, good point. And then that's another thing. You'll have the diagnoses will be done by AI, and then
Yeah.
I will say, listen, well, you should take this vitamin and do this and take this and take this. Here's a blueprint for your life, and
Yeah.
this will help you age better and go on longer. So I think that'll have a huge effect.
But even if someone goes to the hospital with they have a problem, an ailment, right? The AI can look at thousands and hundreds of thousands of cases in 2 seconds and go, okay, mathematically it's 80% this, whatever, you know what I mean? It's
Mhm.
because all the data is the AI is about the data, right? It's about accumulating data in like 10 seconds.
Exactly. It gets what's available. It doesn't,
Yeah,
and that's that's why well, I need a second opinion on something, for example. Well, you won't have that with AI. The AI will
exactly.
give you 10,000 opinions right
Yeah.
there. The only thing the AI can't do is it can't, what's the word? It can't create. For example, the analogy I use is as simply, I say it's 1963, right? And you're listening to the music at the time. And say there's an AI in 1963, and you say, give me some music. The AI would never come up with the Beatles because
No, it's a
they
form of
came out
AI is a
of,
form of plagiarism, right?
right,
Yeah.
it came out of left field. So it's the
Yeah.
same thing now,
Yeah.
even with it's not going to give anything new. It's going to give you
No.
what's available
Yeah.
really well. So
Yeah.
we still need human creativity to take us with
No,
what's
I'm
available.
just talking about because medicine is about precise, science is about being precise, right? The arts, like people can have whatever. I'm not, like I think it's just another like someone has to have an original idea for AI to basically steal it from you, right? Because
Correct.
that's all they're doing is stealing information, right?
Right,
To
and correct. And I just read a thing this morning. The guy head of what do you call it? NVIDIA said, and this is what AI is going to do. Right now, medicine and aging is science, but he said, no, we're going to make that engineering. And the
yeah,
difference is in science, it's what do you call it? Trial and error. Well, this works. Nah, it didn't work. He says we want to get to the point where it's engineering, where it just works. You know what I mean? It's we got a formula. It just goes right through. You don't even second guess it.
yeah,
And I think that's where with aging, you're going to see that coming in. It'll be like,
100%.
here's the program, do this, it's going to work. Not like, well, yeah, maybe you'll have a side effect. It's going to work. So
And it's
that's where
going to
we have
make people live longer, basically. That's the point
if
I'm trying to
follow
make.
the program, if they
Yeah,
follow the program that you're given,
yeah,
you'll live longer. Do X, Y, Z, and bam.
yeah.
And some people might want, obviously people they won't want to do that. Oh, it's too much trouble. Oh, I don't believe in that. Just like we talked about, getting away from
Well,
Botox.
but at the same time, we're all kind of self-sabotagers. Like smoking's bad for us, but we're gonna smoke.
Yeah, I
Don't
want to do
drink
that.
too much alcohol. We're gonna get drunk,
And
right?
freedom of
Like
choice.
don't eat McDonald's every day. People are gonna do that, right? Like it's like that's yeah.
We have that freedom of choice. We got to maintain that because, like with COVID, a lot of the draconian, you got to do this, this, this. You can't do that. Well, I don't
People
think
didn't like that.
we're not going to see that get. That's not going to happen again. People got mad
No.
because they didn't want their choice taken away, and I think we'll see that with aging as well, and some of these different ideas. I don't want to do that. I want my freedom of choice, good, bad, or indifferent. I'm going to do it. Like you said, smoke. I'm going to smoke. I like it. Whatever.
Yeah.
That's what's going to happen. So once again, we still don't have a concrete. We don't have a concrete answer per se. It's going to be all over the place. But
It is. Well, that's sort of the point of your film, right? Whereas like it's not, there's no solution. It's just kind of
no,
asking
it's a free.
questions and then answering them as best as you can, which is what life's about, right?
Exactly. And like Gary Gingoshian in the movie said, death has been around for 3.5 billion years. It's not going anywhere.
Yeah.
We're still going to die. I don't care how you cut it. So that's part of it. That's part of this of the human evolution and the human. Uh,
And then, but eventually the world's going to get so pissed off at us and say, enough is enough. You guys are done.
yeah,
Here
yeah,
comes,
exactly.
yeah,
Whatever. The Earth's going to throw us off.
yeah,
Some kind
exactly.
of whatever the hell's going to happen. I don't know.
I'm going to start because that's what the planet does. The planet has started over again, like a few
Exactly.
times, right?
Well,
Yeah.
supposedly, we've had what? Supposedly, they say we've had like a couple civilizations like 50,000 years ago that went up and blew up, and then we started another one and we
Yeah.
started another one. So we're
Yeah.
probably in the third generation of that. I don't know. Who
Okay.
knows?
So the films that play at the festivals, I love the film. I think it's great. It's doing well.
Well,
Get on the festival circuit. So then you're going to make a sequel. That's a sequel's
we're
in the
talking.
works.
I have the outline. I've done a nice outline. I think it's
Okay.
good. Now we have to go. Well, like any documentaries, you got to get money. Got to raise the money. It's always the hardest part.
Yeah.
Luckily, that's another thing with digital and things like that. It enables you to you can start it without a lot
Yeah.
of money just to get going, get the rolling, do like a demo or something. Oh, this is pretty good. We did it. We have a cooking show we just did, and we did the demo pilot. And now we're soliciting to do the 12 episodes of the cooking show. But that's where the digital really helps out because you can time and editing. It's not a big investment and get going and get rolling. And that's why I think you're seeing a lot more documentaries now because people will do that. You know, with
I,
not an iPhone situation, but decent cameras.
I didn't want to age you, but you kind of brought up that you were making movies in the 70s. So, and you went to USC. So there was a
Mm-hmm.
guy named Lucas who went there. Did you ever meet
Yeah,
him? Yeah.
yeah, I've met him. He was upperclassman. He was ahead of me. In
Okay.
fact, when I went there, I went. I'm from Philadelphia, right? I go 3,000 miles. I've never been west of Pittsburgh. First day of school, we sit down in a theater at USC, and they run his student version, THX 1138, the student version that they
Okay.
later made.
That's the short film that he made, right? Yeah. Yeah.
Like 20 minutes. It wasn't short. I was blown away. I was like, I've never seen anything like that in my life. And he was he was out by then. I mean, but they ran his film. So yeah,
Because I was reading his book and it wasn't like that was like a neat, this very niche, right? That like it wasn't really taken seriously, film school, USC, like it was kind of a new thing. People were kind of laughing at it a little
we
bit.
were like the film students. We were like over here.
Yeah.
We were isolated over here. In fact, the USC our film department was the old ROTC barracks left over from World War II. That's where they stuck us in
Yeah.
there. Now with Lucas, now it looks like Warner Brothers. He gave him 250 million. They've got million. I mean, the place looks like it's nicer than Warner Brothers.
And it's hard to get in, like because I obviously we I show a lot of USC films because they make really good films. Hard to get in, and it's like the best of the best, but it's like $100,000 a year to go there, right?
Yeah, well, when I went, believe me, it wasn't that
No,
expensive.
that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. How far it's come, right? Because it's like, because basically everybody like the way I described it, it was like this is kind of like why is this a program like you like during the like late '60s, early '70s, right?
Yeah, well, it was started in 1928 by Douglas Fairbanks. He started USC Film School.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's been around 100. It'll be 100 years in 2 years. But no,
Oh,
when
that's amazing. Yeah.
the key thing about I would say I see. I mean, we had good equipment and all that, but man, the guys that went there. I mean,
Merch.
I didn't. No. We had 50 kids. I think when I
No, I
went
mean
there,
Walter Merch went there. Walter, the
yeah,
sound guy. Yeah.
legendary. Yeah,
Yeah.
merch and
Yeah.
my roommate was Bob Zemeckis and Bob Gale and John Carpenter. We all were in the same group.
That was
Um,
your roommate. Those were your
yeah,
roommates.
all those guys, yeah, they were roommates. And in fact, we did the Field of Honor. We won the Academy Award in '73, and
Okay.
that was a project we did back then. And that was like they were like, oh my god! And the things we did back then you couldn't do them today. Universal will give us 3 police cars for a weekend. Go ahead, just take them on a Friday, bring them back by Monday morning. You guys can shoot what you want. Things like that. You couldn't get
Yeah.
out. Santa Monica gave us a bus to use for a weekend. You couldn't do that today. I
No,
mean,
no,
it's free.
much regulation. Yeah,
Oh
yeah.
yeah, but anyway, yeah. No, the thing was the people that went there. That was the key.
But did you
The
know, like when you met Zemeckis, did you know, okay, that guy's going to win an Academy Award for best like one day?
Here's the thing: guys like he
Yeah,
and Ben Burt, Ben Burt, 5 Academy Awards for sound,
yeah.
Star Wars. They came in with like stacks of 8mm films they had done as
They
kids.
were already making movies.
Ben
Yeah,
Burt did these gorgeous hour-long World War I flight things with
yeah,
the biplanes. I was looking at these things thinking, oh my God, these are like phenomenal. So
yeah.
these guys, yes. Oh, did I know? Yes, I guess I didn't know we won an Academy Award, but some of these guys, you knew they knew a lot about it.
No, I meant like I'm just using the analogy like Back to the Future, Forrest Gump. Like this guy's got a career, right? So
Right,
yeah,
you kind of knew that there was something special. I guess I'll use the term.
yeah.
Some of the guys, like John Carpenter, he was ahead of me. But like on Sundays, I'd be in the department. I go into, they have a small stage. I'd be in there, it was all dark. And there's this guy bent over a spaceship taking pictures. I'm like, what the hell's he doing? What's he doing down there? And it was Carpenter shooting Dark Star, which later became, et cetera, Dark Star, the movie. So there was all these guys running around there doing different things.
Yeah.
It was
What
kind of very,
motivated? Why did you go to film school? What did your parents think? Guy from Philadelphia? Thought you were
no, I mean,
crazy? Yeah.
I was an English major. What are you going to do with English major? I'd be a teacher or a lawyer. None of them appealed to me. I saw when in my undergraduate college, I saw, oh, there's a thing called film school. I never knew it existed. I applied, and luckily, I wrote a script to get in. They took me. I was like, oh my God. I mean, I knew very little about film when I got in there. That's why I had to go from 0 to 60 in 2 seconds. Because these other guys are coming in, they're like Cecil B. DeMille. They have stacks of films. So
That's
you
amazing.
quickly
Yeah.
you quickly step up, man. You get into whoa, I'm going to go here, and step up.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it was amazing. So that's the key is it's the people that go there. That's I felt was because that NYU has a great film school, UCLA has a great film school. Now there's a bunch of them, but they're the three big ones. And it's like NYU does their big thing is documentaries and single, auteurs, so to speak. SC is a
Yeah, they
studio.
make a lot of art films. Yeah.
Yeah, you
And
studio and UCLA's kind of half and half.
it's not even like listen for like the I'd like to I think I have a point of view is that USC makes the best short films,
They
like
do.
bar none.
Yeah.
It's ahead of NYU, it's ahead of UCLA, like bar none. It's like I don't know, maybe it's the people, but it's also the equipment, it's also the crew. It's the best, it looks the best, it's the best sound design. It's like top to
Well, the
bottom. Yeah.
professors too. The guys that teach there are usually industry guys. My directing teacher was Blake Edwards. That was,
Really,
yeah,
that's amazing.
yeah. He came in. We sit around 10 of us, and he brought his wife one time, Julie Andrews, to come and sit in with us. So I mean, that's the people that do that. Or when our producer guy was, he did the Twilight Zone, and then your
Yeah.
access to Hollywood. You go on like Tuesday night and they have a screening with. You go to Warner Brothers with some guy. So that's the key. It's access to whereas NYU or these other places don't have as much access. So that's where you really kind of learn.
Yeah. No, you get to go on set. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
You go to the ranches, you see the guys shooting, they put you on, and really it soaks in. And I think that's the big advantage they have,
All right.
to other places.
One last question for you.
Sure.
You got four posters behind you. Why do you have like Austin Powers, Wolf of Wall Street? Is that Dirty Harry? And then that's what Great Gatsby.
Well, they're all great films. I would like them all. I mean,
Oh, I'm just curious if there's like a point of view. Like you got 70s movies and 90s movies and two, I guess, aughts movies.
no, they're just ones that they're not I mean, they're ones I really like. They're not my
Yeah.
favorites. My favorites are they're like Clockwork Orange, The Godfather, that type of thing.
Okay.
But they're just ones that I like, and I thought they looked good here. So
Okay. I was just curious if it's like,
no, we picked them. We had other ones in the past, but they were old. So I got rid of brought a new crop in.
Yeah.
Keep it fresh. Well, Austin Powers is genius. I mean, if he made Austin Powers 4, it would make $1 billion. I mean, if he just ever made a new one, because
Do you think he's going to?
No, I don't think so.
It
I don't
seems to
think
be
so.
the thing these days.
Well,
Because
I think
he's got to make that movie to make another movie, right? If he wants to make another
he
movie.
has problems with Universal, I think, and I think it scared him off.
Yeah.
Like he dragging his feet to make one of them, and they were going to sue him. And anyway, I think that's why he won't make another one.
Yeah.
Great Gatsby, I just like because I've seen all 3 of them. I like the book. And Baz Luhrmann's treatment of the new one was really well done. I mean, really
Yeah.
well done. So anyway, they're just all favorites.
And then Dirty Harry, right?
Well,
So
Clint, come on, man, you can't go wrong with Clint Eastwood. Jesus. 95, talk about aging, 95. And did you see his juror number? What was it? Juror number 6? The one he just made like a year ago?
no, didn't. Yeah, he's
It's
still making. Yeah,
check
he's
it out. It's a
95.
movie. Nicholas Holt's in it. Very well done. And he did it at 93 years old.
I know it's
Just
crazy.
good movie. It's perfect. So I'm saying there's an example. Clint, man, just keeps, stayed in shape, keep going. So I don't know. I don't know
You
if you
got the
can do
bird
it.
back in the corner, which I think I think it's my favorite Hitchcock film, The
Oh,
Birds.
the birds, yeah. Because that was shot right down the
Yeah.
like 5 miles from here, out in Bodega Bay.
The
I go there.
problem is that he abused the hell out of that actress now because of watching that movie. So it's like you can't really watch the movie the
Oh,
same way.
I know. Well, I have a Hitchcock. I got a funny Hitchcock story. I don't know how much time you have.
Okay, go ahead.
He came to SC, right? So he came. It was a big deal to get him to talk to the film students, right? So they said, okay, well, we'll get Mr. Hitchcock to come down, but here's the thing. And they told it because the upperclassmen had to kind of run the thing. They said, don't let him go more than a half hour. They're like, okay. So Hitchcock comes down. He runs. I forget what he ran. We ran a movie. He comes on, and he's sitting on the stage. We're all there, and he's really having a good time, right? And one of the graduate students, he's the guy's he's standing next to me, he's shaking. He goes, I got to go tell him. So he kind of slinks up to the stage, right? Taps him on the shoulder. Mr. Hitchcock, it's a half hour. Hitchcock turns to him and goes, son, don't ever tell me what to do and how much time I have. He goes, okay. And he was off. And Hitchcock spent like another hour, just talking because he was having a good time. But yeah, he was an interesting guy. Very interesting.
Well, yeah, he made a lot of great films, that's for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, he's an interesting guy. Very technical. Well, as my friend, as Bob Gale said, all technique, no emotion, which I don't know. Maybe that's a
I don't know
criticism.
about that. Do you
Well,
think
that's what he said. I don't
the
know.
co-writer of Back to the Future said that? Come on,
Yeah.
Mr. Gale. Is that true?
Yeah, that's what he said,
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, I digress.
I'm gonna show my kids Back to the Future soon. I think they're ready for it. So basically,
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
like now that there's more context. But come on, Mr. Gale, like there's lots of emotion in his films.
If you
But
knew,
what do I know?
if you knew Bob Gale, oh my God. I know. I want to, yeah, these guys, it's amazing that they ended up where they ended up. But it's interesting,
Yeah.
Um, yeah. So anyway, yeah, that was yeah, that was an interesting quote and segment there. But yeah,
Okay. I hope the film does well. It gets sold. It gets you to make the sequel, and you're on your way because you're exploring interesting subjects, right? You're not just you have different points of view, and there's lots of influences. And I think that we are obsessed with living, I guess, right? And it's like that's
living
part of the
right
our.
coin, you know.
I think it's probably our part of who we are as a species, right? Like we're supposed to live as long as we possibly can, right?
Live and good life, enjoy what we're doing, and have a good life. That's the key. And I
Yeah,
think the point of what we're trying to do with scientific aging is make that good part as long as stretch it out as long as
yeah,
possible before we kick off.
yeah.
So I think that's where all the research is
Because
coming
nobody
from.
wants to be in dementia for 10 years. Like, who
Oh,
wants to, like, you'd rather just die, right? So, yeah, I get you.
in fact, the guy in the beginning, Dale Bresden, who's the head of what do you call it, Buck Center, he has a whole big thing now on dementia. He says everything we're doing about dementia treatment is totally wrong. He says it's totally wrong. They don't know what they're talking about. He has a whole different idea on it, and
Okay.
it seems to. And he started working on it. It seems to have borne fruit, where you can actually cure it or prevent it totally. So he's
Yeah.
got a whole different theory. And that'd be something to be interesting if I did a sequel. I put that in there.
Listen, I'm telling you, this film has 20 other films because that's the whole
No,
Western medicine thing is a whole other film, right? So, because they've done no progress for dementia, like
no.
very little. So obviously they're doing something wrong, right? So if there's been that
Well,
much little progress.
their idea is wrong. These plastics or whatever it
It
is.
all, yeah, right. It all starts with the seed. It all starts with the idea. Because if you got the wrong idea, everything else you do is wrong, right?
Exactly.
So,
And typically, as the medical profession is, they follow one exact. This is it. We just follow that track. We don't deviate. As Michael Crichton said, he said Harvard. He went to Harvard Medical School. He says it was the most conservative, closed-minded place I've ever been. He says, they just wouldn't listen to anything new at all. So,
yeah.
that's when you need some new ideas and new theories. So,
Okay, man. Let's talk again when you make your next film.
All right. Thank you very much. Appreciate the opportunity.